The doors of the silver starship opened slowly, hissing with steam as the temperature inside adjusted to Earth's cool evening air. Out stepped the most beautiful creature anyone had ever seen. Her name was Serena Elite Zanari Diplomat. Known across galaxies not only for her intelligence, but for her looks that could break peace or start wars. Her skin was smooth like polished glass, with a faint glow of lavender, eyes deep like violet fire, and hair flowing like soft metal wires under moonlight. She wore a long robe that shimmered, with every step changing color as if alive. But this wasn't a fashion show. It was a mission, and the target was Commander Ray Mercer, the leader of Earth's final surviving military colony. He was the last obstacle in the Zanari Empire's plan to conquer Earth. Serena's mission was simple: get close, win his trust, seduce him if needed, make him give up control of Earth's last stronghold without a single bullet fired. She walked calmly through the human base, followed by 2 silent Zanari guards in armor. Everyone stopped and stared, not just because she was an alien, but because she was beautiful, too beautiful in fact, to be safe. Ray watched from the balcony of the command tower, arms folded across his chest. He was tall, rough-faced, a soldier through and through. He had seen war, lost friends, and buried his own family. He didn't believe in charm. He believed in action. And yet, as Serena stepped into his command hall, he couldn't deny she was disarming. "Commander Mercer," she spoke in a smooth, melodic voice. "I bring peaceful intentions from the Zanari Empire." Ray narrowed his eyes. "You're the peace offering," he said flatly. "You look more like a distraction." Her lips curled into a small smile. "You may see it that way," she said, "but I am here to offer an alliance." Ray didn't smile back. He motioned to a chair. "Talk then," he said. "Let's hear the trick first." She sat gracefully, folding her hands. "The Empire believes the war has cost enough lives," she explained. "Surrender your territory, and we will protect your people. Under our rule." Ray leaned back, watching her face closely. "You came all this way, dressed like that?" he said slowly. "Just to ask for surrender." "No," she answered softly. "I came to make you trust me." He raised an eyebrow. "Why me?" "Because," Serena said with calm confidence, "they say you are the heart of the humans. If you fall, they all will." There it was, the truth hidden behind soft words. Ray let out a short laugh, cold and sharp. "Then you're wasting your time." But Serena didn't leave. She stayed, speaking about peace, about building together, about ending bloodshed. Ray listened, but his eyes never stopped watching her. Not her beauty, but the way her fingers tapped nervously under the table. The slight shake in her voice when he mentioned the dead, and the moment her smile faded when he said the word freedom. She was playing a role, but something was breaking inside. After the meeting, Ray stood outside alone. Watching the stars, he heard footsteps, soft and graceful. Serena walked beside him. "Quiet at first. I've met many men," she said slowly, "and most fall by now." Ray looked at her. "I'm not most men." She looked down, her expression unreadable. "Why didn't you try to charm me?" he asked suddenly. "You've been trying all day, haven't you?" Serena hesitated, then met his eyes. "I was told you would be easier," she admitted, "but you confuse me." Ray didn't smile. He simply looked up at the stars again. "You're not the first to come here with soft words and hidden daggers," he said. "But you're different." Serena's breath caught for a second. "I don't understand humans," she said quietly. "You're not supposed to." Ray replied, "You were sent to control us." "Maybe," she whispered, "or maybe I was sent to learn what it means to be free." A long silence filled the night. 2 enemies, standing side by side, under the same stars, both confused, both hiding something. But something was beginning to shift. Not in politics, not in power, but in the space between two hearts, and neither of them saw the shadowy Zanari drone floating above the base, watching them, recording everything, and preparing the next phase of the plan. Because even if Serena failed, the Empire had other plans. And time was running out. Serena sat alone in the guest quarters given to her by the humans. The room was simple metal walls, a bed, and a desk, far from the luxury of Zanari palaces. But it felt calm. She looked into the small mirror, touching her face. For years, her looks had been her weapon. She had charmed kings, fooled generals, and ended wars without firing a single shot. But Commander Ray Mercer, he was different. He didn't chase her, didn't flirt, didn't look at her the way other men did, and that confused her, frightened her, back on her ship. Her orders were clear. Get close to the human commander, make him feel safe, and make him surrender if that fails. Stall him until reinforcements arrive. But now, her heart was stalling her. The next morning, Serena joined Ray in the base's common area. Soldiers walked past, giving her long stares, but she ignored them. Ray was seated at a table, eating a simple breakfast. Without waiting for permission, she sat across from him. I don't usually eat with spies, Ray said, without looking up. Serena smiled faintly. And I don't usually talk to men who can't be manipulated. She replied. That made him raise his eyes. You're admitting it now? I think you already knew, she said quietly, so there's no point hiding. Ray sipped his coffee and studied her. You're not like the others, he said finally. The Zanari diplomats before you cold, fake, proud, but you. I can't figure you out. Serena looked down. Maybe I can't either, she whispered. Ray leaned forward. Why are you really here, Serena? Isn't it obvious? Not to me. She sighed and looked out the window. When I was young, I wanted to explore galaxies, she said softly. But my beauty made the Empire see me as a tool. They said I was perfect for diplomacy. She chuckled without humor. Do you know how many men I've kissed? How many lies I've told? Ray didn't answer. She looked at him again, her voice suddenly shaky. But when you look at me, it feels like you see more. Ray was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I see a woman pretending not to be scared. Serena flinched because he was right. Later that day, she watched a group of human children running through the base. There, laughter echoed in the halls. One little girl stopped and looked up at her. Wide-eyed, you're so shiny. The girl giggled, reaching out to touch Serena's robe. Serena knelt down slowly. What's your name? She asked. Amy, the child said. Are you a princess? Serena smiled gently. Not really. Just someone far from home. They. Girl smiled and ran off. Serena stood slowly, her heart aching in a strange new way. She wasn't trained for this. That night, she stood on the roof of the command tower, looking at Earth's stars. They felt closer than the stars of her own galaxy. She heard footsteps, again his. Always silent, but strong, Ray stood beside her, hands in his pockets. No guard tonight. He asked. I don't think I need one here, she replied. They stood in silence for a while. Then Serena asked, What happened to your wife? Ray turned his head slowly. She died. During the Zanari assault on New Atlanta, she was a medic, refused to leave the children behind. Serena looked at him. I'm sorry, she said. He nodded. I hated your kind for a long time, he admitted. I still should. Then why talk to me? She asked. Ray looked at her with tired eyes. Because you're not acting like them. A breeze moved through her silver hair. I feel like I'm forgetting who I am, she said quietly. Maybe that's a good thing, Ray said. Maybe you're remembering who you really are. And in that quiet moment, under alien stars, something shifted between them. Not love, not yet, but a thread, thin and invisible, was pulling them closer. Ray took a step back, clearing his throat. You should rest, he said. Big day tomorrow. Serena nodded, but before he turned to leave, she asked if I was just a woman. Not a spy, not a diplomat. Would you still talk to me? He looked at her one last time and said, I already am. Then he walked away, leaving her heart thudding with emotions she was never trained to feel. In her room that night, she touched her chest. Her heart was beating fast, and she realized something terrifying. She wasn't in control anymore. Not of the mission, not of her mind, and definitely not of her heart. Serena wasn't supposed to feel. Not like this. Not ever. She had followed the Zanari protocol her entire life. Be beautiful, be smart, be in control, and never, ever let emotions get in the way. But now, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Ray Mercer, the human commander who had become more than just a target. Every time she closed her eyes, she remembered his words, his calm voice. His eyes tired but kind, his strength not just in body, but in soul. She had met warriors before, but none who carried grief like armor, and still smiled at little girls. It confused her, it softened her, it broke her. In the Zanari Empire, Serena's heart was a tool now. It felt like a weak spot, but she still had orders. And orders were everything. That night, she stood inside the secure comms room of her ship, alone, with only the red light blinking from the console. A holocall flashed to life. The figure of a tall Zanari general appeared, his face sharp like a knife. Report, Diplomat Serena, he said coldly. Serena stood tall, hiding her trembling hands. I am gaining the humans' trust. She said, Commander Mercer is cautious, but open to conversation. The general narrowed his eyes. Too slow, he snapped. We have a new mission for you. She stiffened. What kind of mission? You are to install a trace beacon inside their main command room. He ordered. When activated, our ships will lock onto the signal and strike. No need for words, no need for surrender, just destruction. Serena's blood ran cold. That would kill civilians, she whispered. The children. The medical bays. Do not forget who you serve. The general barked. Your beauty, your body, it's all for the Empire. You are a tool, Serena. Now be useful. The call ended. The room went silent. Her hands curled into fists. She stood there for minutes, not moving, not blinking. The order echoed in her ears. Just destruction. The next day, Serena walked beside Ray through the central corridor. Soldiers saluted him as they passed. One of them smiled at her and offered a snack bar. She took it, confused. No one's ever given me food before, she said softly. Ray chuckled. Welcome to humanity. Serena felt a lump in her throat. She almost told him everything about the device, about the betrayal, but she didn't. Not yet, because she was scared. Not scared of death, but scared of what it would mean to finally choose a side. That night, she slipped into the command center, her hands shaking, the small black beacon hidden in her robe. One push against the wall, 1 second, and thousands would die. She stared at the panel in front of her, the hum of the computer, the quiet ticking of Earth's last hope. She remembered Amy's tiny voice. Are you a princess? She remembered Ray's soft whisper. You're not acting like them. Tears welled in her eyes. She gritted her teeth and threw the device into the garbage chute, her chest rising and falling like she had just escaped fire. She had broken the protocol. She had committed treason. But for the first time in her life, she felt free. The next morning, Ray was walking with 2 lieutenants when a private ran up. Sir, we found something strange in the waste chute. Ray followed them to the disposal unit. His eyes narrowed as he picked up the charred remains of a beacon, military grade, Zanari tech. His face darkened. But instead of yelling, he asked calmly, who had access to this area last night? The answer hit him like a bullet. Serena Ray waited in the garden area near the outer wall, one of the few peaceful places on base. Serena approached slowly. She saw the broken beacon in his hand. "You found it," she said quietly. "Yes," he replied, "and I want to know, why didn't you plant it?" Serena's voice cracked. "Because I couldn't," she whispered. "I was supposed to, but I couldn't look at you. And then do something like that?" Ray's face remained unreadable. "You lied to me," he said. "I know," she said, lowering her head. "And I'm not proud, but I didn't betray you." He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I believe you." She looked up, stunned. "Why?" "Because," he said, "you're crying." They sat together on a bench as the wind moved through the trees. For a moment, they weren't a soldier and a spy. They were just two people, trying to understand the impossible. "I broke my people's laws," she whispered, "and I may not live if they find out." Ray looked at her. "Then stay here," he said. "We'll protect you." "I'm not worth protecting," she said bitterly. Ray shook his head. "You're more human than most humans I know," and that one sentence made her heart shatter and heal at the same time. But above the clouds, a Zanari warship received no signal from the beacon. The general's eyes burned with rage. "She has failed," he growled. "Prepare the hunters. Bring her back." Dead or alive, dark clouds rolled over the Earth base that morning. Thunder cracked like distant artillery. But the real storm was already brewing inside. Serena sat in the mess hall, sipping a warm drink. Her hands still trembled from the night before. She had betrayed her orders, destroyed the beacon, and now, she wasn't just a diplomat anymore, she was a traitor. Across the room, soldiers whispered. Some respected her, some didn't trust her, and some just stared, waiting for her to mess up. She didn't blame them. Ray stood near the window of the strategy room, eyes locked on the radar. His thoughts were louder than any alarm. He had trusted her, and somehow, she had trusted him back. He didn't know what that meant. He only knew one thing. Zanari ships had moved. "Sir," one of his officers said. "Scout drones report a small craft entering our atmosphere, fast, silent, low-flying, and armed." Ray's heart dropped. She didn't lie, he muttered to himself. "They're coming for her." Serena stood by the base gate, watching birds fly through the rain. She missed her home planet. But not the cold halls, not the empty smiles, not the feeling of being used. Now, she just missed feeling safe. Ray approached with firm steps. "You need to come with me," he said quickly. "They've sent a retrieval team." Serena turned slowly. "So they know?" "Yes," Ray answered, "and they'll kill you for what you did." Serena's lips trembled, but she didn't cry. "I expected this," she whispered. "The moment I chose not to betray you." Ray nodded. "And that's why I'm not letting them take you." They rushed through the base corridors. Sirens hadn't sounded yet, but the radar showed 3 unidentified crafts heading their way. Ray led Serena to the emergency shelter hidden beneath the command center. Inside, reinforced walls and backup life support systems surrounded them. "You'll stay here until I say otherwise," Ray ordered. Serena grabbed his wrist. "No," she said. "Let me help." He looked at her, surprised. "You're not a soldier." "No," she agreed, "but I'm not a puppet anymore either." Up above, the Zanari hunters landed outside the base, tall, armored, and deadly. Their eyes glowed under their helmets. Weapons ready, orders clear. Retrieve the traitor or eliminate her. Ray met them at the gate, flanked by his top soldiers. The Zanari captain stepped forward. "We are here for Serena," he said in a mechanical voice. "She belongs to the Empire." Ray didn't flinch. "She's under human protection now." The captain's head tilted. "She is not yours to keep." Ray's hand hovered near his weapon. "Then you'll have to go through me." Tension rose like a fuse about to ignite. The Zanari soldiers raised their rifles. But before anything could happen, a new voice cut through the air. "She's not going anywhere." Everyone turned, shocked. It was Serena, stepping out of the shadows. Unarmed but unafraid, Ray shouted, "What are you doing?" "I told you to stay hidden." Serena stood beside him. "I won't hide while you fight for me," she said. "If they want me, they'll have to hear the truth first." The Zanari captain sneered. "You chose a human over your own blood." Serena looked straight at him. "No, I chose my own soul. I chose what's right. You are weak," the captain growled. Serena stepped forward. "No, Captain," she said firmly. "You are blind. These people, they don't use each other like tools. They care. They forgive. They fight to protect." Ray stood beside her now, silent but a wall of strength. "You may kill me," Serena said, voice shaking, "but my choice is mine. And I won't be your weapon anymore." For a moment, no one moved. Even the wind paused. Then, the Zanari captain lowered his weapon, but not out of respect, out of calculation. "If you're not coming, then you are an enemy," he hissed. "We will return with more than 3. The Zanari turned and left, vanishing into the gray sky, but the threat stayed. It grew. That night, Ray checked on Serena. She sat on a bench near the garden again. Rain dripped from the leaves. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I'm just tired of being afraid." Ray sat beside her. "You were brave," he said. "You didn't need to do that." "I did," she whispered. "Because for the first time in my life, I want to live on my own terms." He looked at her, and for the first time, she smiled, not as a weapon, but as a woman, a real one. Their hands touched, gently. No pressure, no lies, just warmth. But miles above the planet, inside the Zanari fleet's war room, the Emperor watched the footage. His voice was cold. "Prepare the purge. If she will not return to us, then Earth will burn with her." The stars above Earth burned quietly, hiding what was coming, but down on the surface, inside a cold human base, something far more dangerous than war had already begun. A bond, a spark, a change. Serena lay on her back, staring at the ceiling of her room. She hadn't slept in 2 nights, not because of fear, but because of him. Commander Ray Mercer, the man she was sent to manipulate, but ended up trusting, maybe more than she should. Earlier that day, she had stood in front of Zanari hunters with nothing but her voice. She should have been scared. She should have been silent. But something inside her had changed. She had chosen to fight for her own freedom, not with weapons, but with truth. And now, that truth was starting to grow inside her. She placed a hand on her stomach. At first, it was just a feeling: nausea, heat, dizziness. She thought it was stress. But the medic confirmed it with a scan. "You're pregnant," the doctor said softly. She had sat in silence for a full minute, her breath gone, her heart racing, a human child. She had whispered, "Yes," the medic confirmed, confused. It shouldn't be possible. But it is. And now, here she was, lying awake with a truth that could shatter the galaxy. The door opened gently, and Ray stepped in. He looked tired, bruised, and wet from the rain outside. "You okay?" he asked. Serena sat up, eyes locked with his. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He raised an eyebrow and sat beside her. "This serious?" She nodded. "More serious than any war. I'm with child," she said. Ray didn't speak, didn't move, just stared at her. "Yours?" she added softly. After that night in the bunker, Ray's throat went dry. He remembered it clearly. The fear, the closeness, the way they had clung to each other like the world was ending, because maybe it was. "Are you sure?" he finally said. "Yes," Serena whispered. "The scans confirm it." He looked away, his hand shaking slightly. Not from fear, but from the weight of what this meant. A child, half human, half Sonari, something that wasn't supposed to exist. I never planned this, Serena said. Quickly, I didn't come here to trap you? Ray shook his head. I know, he said. You don't have to explain. He stood, walking toward the small window. The others won't understand, he said. Not your people, not mine. Serena's eyes filled with tears. I don't care, she said. I want to protect this life. Ray turned to face her again, and for the first time, she saw something in his eyes. Not just strength, not just calm, but something tender. He walked back, knelt down, and gently took her hand. You won't do it alone, he said. If you protect this life, so will I. The next morning, Ray called a secret meeting with his most trusted officers. He told them everything. The baby, the danger, the Zanari threat. Reactions were mixed. Some were shocked, some angry. But one old general stood and said, if that child can exist, maybe peace isn't just a dream. Ray nodded. Then we protect her, he said. We protect them both, but just as the meeting ended, an alarm blared. Multiple signals incoming. Serena and Ray ran to the control room. A young officer shouted, Zanari Warfleet, exiting slipspace. How many ships? Ray asked. Too many. The officer replied, pale, too fast. They're not here to talk. Serena's face went white. They're going to erase everything. She whispered, not just me, but this entire base. Back in her quarters, she packed quickly. Her hands moved with panic, but her eyes were calm. She had lived her life under others' orders now. She would choose her fate. Ray burst in. You're not leaving without me, he said. She stopped and looked at him. Then come. They rushed to the underground escape tunnels. But before they could enter, a blast shook the earth. Sirens screamed. The base shuddered. The invasion had begun. Ray pulled Serena behind him, weapon ready. Explosions echoed above. Soldiers scrambled to defend. But it was clear. This wasn't a battle they could win. Take her to the South Shuttle. Ray shouted to two officers. I'll hold the corridor. No. Serena screamed. I'm not leaving you. Ray grabbed her shoulders. You have to, he said. You're carrying something more important than both of us. Promise me you'll keep running, she cried, shaking her head, but deep inside, she knew. He was right. Ray kissed her forehead and turned away as she was pulled down the tunnel. Her last image of him was a man standing tall. Gun raised, heart burning. The shuttle took off into the clouds, carrying Serena and a child not yet born, the first of its kind. Behind them, Earth burned, but inside her heart, a small spark of hope refused to die, because even if war had returned, so had life. Asterisk smoke trailed behind the shuttle as it rose into the stormy sky. Serena sat strapped to the co-pilot seat, hand resting over her stomach. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stared out the window at the Earth that was now on fire. Somewhere below, Commander Ray Mercer was still fighting, still buying time, still keeping his promise to protect her. To protect the child, the pilot, a young human named Decker, looked at her nervously. Ma'am? We'll reach the outer forest range in 10 minutes. She nodded. I'm not a ma'am, she said quietly. I'm just trying to survive. He glanced at her swollen eyes and didn't push further. He knew this wasn't just about escape. It was about everything. The war, the betrayal, and now the unborn life inside her. They landed in the dense woodland far outside the main base zone. A small hidden shelter was already waiting, designed for emergencies only. Inside, it was simple. One bed, rations for 2 weeks. I go solar brow and silence. Serena stepped inside and collapsed onto the small cot, her legs finally giving out. She had survived assassination orders, faced down her own people, escaped a burning base. And now, she was alone, carrying a baby that both sides might see as a threat. She gently placed her hand over her belly. "You didn't ask for this," she whispered. "But I'll protect you, little one, even if I have to die doing it." Back in orbit, inside the Zanari flagship, the Emperor paced. The destruction of the human base was complete. But Serena had escaped. He watched the last footage of her and Ray together. The softness in her eyes, the closeness, the kiss, then the scan report. The biological data retrieved by hacked medical files. A hybrid fetus, living proof that human and Zanari could reproduce. The Emperor's hands clenched. "This is dangerous," he muttered. "If this child survives, the old hatred will begin to crack. The lies we told for centuries will fall apart." He turned to his war general. "Find her. Kill her." The baby too. In the forest shelter, Serena woke up, drenched in sweat. She had dreamed of rebloodied, standing in the flames, whispering her name. She gasped and sat up. The baby kicked softly, reminding her it was still alive. She couldn't stay hidden forever. She needed to reach the Human Alliance outpost. On the other continent, it was far too far to walk alone. But maybe someone was still listening. She activated the old radio unit. The signal was weak. But she spoke clearly. "This is Serena of the Zanari. Calling any Human Alliance ship, I'm not your enemy. I carry something important. I need help." Static, then. A voice crackled in. "Repeat that." "Did you say Zanari female requesting aid?" "Yes," she shouted. "Please. I have a child half human, half Zanari. I need to get to safety." A pause, then. "Coordinates received. Extraction in 48 hours. Stay hidden. Keep your cum silent." Serena dropped the radio and sat back in shock. Someone had listened. Someone still believed in mercy. But she wasn't alone. Far above, a Zanari stealth drone hovered in the clouds. It had heard everything, seen everything, and now sent the signal to the fleet. Location locked, target confirmed, kill team. Dispatched, hours passed slowly. Serena sat in the shelter, reading the same survival manual over. She was tired, hungry, and scared, but she never let herself break. The baby kicked again. Strong this time, she placed both hands on her belly and whispered, "You're going to be strong like your father. He believed in things I never understood. Now." "I think I do," she smiled weakly. "I don't know if you'll have 10 fingers or 6, or if your skin will be violet or pale like his. But I'll love you no matter what." Suddenly, her ears picked up a faint noise, branches cracking, something. Moving fast, she grabbed the stun pistol Ray had forced her to take before she escaped. It felt heavy in her hand. She had never used a weapon before, not in combat. The door burst open. A Zanari soldier stepped inside, rifle raised, but before he could shoot, Serena fired, hitting him in the chest. He dropped with a crash, stunned. Another came through the back panel. She ducked and shot again, 2 down, her heart racing like thunder. A third one tackled her from the side, knocking the pistol away. He pressed a blade against her throat. "You should have died with the human," he hissed. Serena gritted her teeth. "Then do it," she spat. "But you'll never kill what's already been born." Before he could react, a sudden blast tore through the wall. Human soldiers in black armor stormed in. Target secured. Enemies neutralized. Serena fell to the floor, gasping, blood on her arm, but alive. One of the soldiers helped her up. "You're safe now," he said. "Ray sent us." Before the signal was lost, her lips trembled. You said Ray." The soldier nodded. "He's alive," and with that, Serena cried. Not from pain, but from hope. She wasn't alone. Not anymore. The medical ship soared through the clouds. Slicing over burned forests and ruined lands inside the recovery bay, Serena lay still. Connected to soft beeping machines, her eyes were closed, her skin pale, but her heartbeat remained strong. Just like the child growing inside her, beside her, a human nurse adjusted the scanner. Another human soldier stood at the door, rifle in hand. They weren't just protecting Serena now. They were guarding the future. Meanwhile, in a secured chamber on a distant space station orbiting Earth's moon, Commander Ray Mercer was alive barely. He had been pulled from the rubble after the Zanari bombing. His body was broken. But his will wasn't. Doctors had stabilized him. Engineers replaced part of his leg. But nothing could replace the piece of his soul that had flown away with that shuttle until today, until he heard the message. "She's safe," the officer told him. "The baby is healthy. She asked for you." Ray didn't smile. He simply whispered, "Then I'm not done yet." A week later, Serena sat up in a proper bed inside the lunar station's medical wing. She wore a simple hospital gown, her hair tied back, the child still growing inside. Her had begun to kick more often. She smiled every time she felt it. It reminded her that life could grow, even in the middle of war. Then the door opened, and her breath caught. Ray stood there leaning slightly on a metal cane. One leg wrapped in brace armor, scars still healing, but his eyes were the same. Sharp, focused, warm. "You're alive," she whispered, tears rushing to her eyes. "You too," he replied with a smile, stepping closer. They didn't need words. They didn't need a hug. The look they shared was enough. It said everything. Ray sat beside her and placed his hand gently on her belly. The baby kicked, his eyebrows raised. "She's strong," he said. Serena chuckled softly. "Could be a boy. Either way," he smiled. "They're ours." The Human Alliance leaders held an emergency meeting days later. The news of a human Zanari hybrid had spread quickly. Some wanted Serena and the baby protected. Others feared them, and many wanted to use them as symbols for their own agendas. But Ray stood before them all and spoke with quiet power. "She came to betray me," he said. "But she chose mercy instead of murder. She chose peace instead of war. And because of that, we have proof that we're not enemies by nature. We can change." He looked around the silent room. "And if we can create life together, then maybe we can build peace together too." On the other side of the galaxy, the Zanari Emperor watched the chaos unfold. His council shouted over one another. Some demanded Serena's head. Some feared the growing support for peace. Others wanted to study the child as a weapon. But none could agree, because for the first time in centuries, the empire was divided. Not by politics, not by land, but by a single unborn child. A child that represented a truth they had always feared, that humans were not beneath them, that unity was possible, that love was stronger than loyalty. The Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. "We will wait," he said finally. "If we strike now, we become monsters. But if we watch and learn, perhaps we will understand what this child truly is." Months passed. Serena walked slowly through the gardens of the lunar colony. Her belly full and heavy, her back aching, but her heart calm. Ray was always near, reading her books about Earth's history, telling her stories of his youth. He never said he loved her. He didn't need to. His actions spoke louder. Every touch, every shielded stare, every hand on her back as she walked, he was hers and she was his. No empire could undo that. Then came the day. The alarms didn't scream. No ships attacked, but life arrived. Serena gave birth in the early hours of the morning. Ray sat beside her the entire time, gripping her hand through every scream. She cried, she fought, she collapsed, and then a sound broke the silence. A baby's cry, loud, raw, alive. The nurse smiled. "It's a girl," Serena wept. Ray kissed her forehead. They didn't need medals, didn't need titles, they had each other. And now they had her. The baby was small. Her skin a soft shade between pale and violet. Her eyes shimmered human shape. Zanari glow. A perfect mix of two enemies who had become family. They named her Hope, because that's what she was. Not just for them, but for the galaxy. The final scene took place months later, Serena Ray. And baby Hope stood before a gathering of humans and Zanari diplomats. The crowd was silent as the child giggled in her mother's arms. A human general stepped forward, then a Zanari elder. And they both bowed, not to Serena, not to Ray, but to the child. Because Hope wasn't just a baby, she was the first bridge between two worlds. A new kind of alliance. And as the stars above shimmered with peace for the first time in a generation. One thing was clear. The war may have started with orders, lies, and power. But it ended with a choice. The choice. To love.